So, got a pretty late start today. Got to ride with a different group of people. So, stopped at Dollar General and also a hotel in Medart. Give some people some rides to the trailhead. So, I think they're only going to go 16 trail miles in camp right before the water gets deep in Bradwell Bay. I don't know if I'm going to do that because my main concern is in the morning it's going to be in the 30s. The water is going to be even colder than that. So I'm not too keen on waking up and then wading through waist deep water when it's freezing for several miles. I did the couple of miles of ankle deep water in St. Mark's the other day and my feet were freezing, so I might push on to somewhere else, or I might camp there and then if there's a road walk, forest road or something, I might take that around just because I don't know, in this weather it can be kind of dangerous to, like I said, wade through waist deep water for a couple hours in the freezing cold weather. So see how today goes. I think today is gonna be mostly dry and only like ankle deep kind of stuff, and then the worst of it will be tomorrow, or assuming I stop where they stop at. Or 9:54. Looks like the first water. Feet have been dry. Oh, it's not that it's necessarily freezing cold, but the shock, like when you first jump into the pools, will get you. So I think that's going to be largely reflective of this first section before Bradwell Bay proper. Just a lot of, I think that's probably just from the rain. It's probably normally dry through there. So honestly, these things, to me, some of the most dangerous parts potentially this trail, way more so than snakes and bears and alligators and all that, because these things get like moss and things, and they just get smoothed out from people walking on it, and slippery from rain and everything. And I have almost slipped on those things several times, and obviously they're usually going over a body of water of some sort, so you're liable to get wet if you slip, but you could also just really twist an ankle. Or yesterday when I did it, I kind of landed on my wrist when I caught myself, and luckily I didn't really I don't know why I'm trying to keep my feet dry. They're already wet, but yeah, I kind of caught myself with my hand, and you could easily break a wrist or sprain it or do all kinds of stuff on those things. So especially with my Crocs that I'm wearing, they got no traction on it, and they're already kind of a rubbery surface, so they slip real easily. And so you just go slow on them, and you should be fine. But that could easily catch you by surprise and ruin your day or ruin your hike pretty easily. So I think I'm technically off trail. It was not intentional. Actually, you can kind of see orange blaze right there, and I think I'm gonna try to get there just because the blazing is not great through here, which is why I ended up on this road. But it's just to show that, and this looks pretty deep. I mean, I don't know if it would get up to your waist, but it's probably above knees. Anyway, just because the trail is flooded and wet does not mean that these back roads and things that some people might be tempted to take to avoid the trail, it doesn't mean they're going to be dry. And oftentimes it's the opposite. The roads and other things, in my experience, are usually flooded, and the trail is sometimes routed in such a way to avoid those wet spots, and it goes up on dry ground. So I believe the trail is like right there. So I'm probably gonna have to go through this. I mean, I'm not gonna try to squeeze through that. I mean, this is shin deep here. It's just, I don't know if I can squeeze through that or not, so might do a little bushwhack in here. I don't really mind, but it's kind of hard when you got like a big sleeping pad on the top of your pack that gets caught on everything. And then on top of that, all the ticks and things. All right. Back on the trail, and like you could see, this area here is all dry. So, and that wet spot is to the right of me. So, had I managed to stay on the trail, I wouldn't have got my feet wet there. But I said this area kind of crisscrosses a lot of these back roads, and I just end up missing these blazes, and you end up walking down the road looking for a blaze, and by the time you realize you're off the trail crosses in front of you in another couple hundred feet. So you just keep walking down the road and look for the intersection. So try not to lose it again at these intersections coming up. So I didn't think that we actually have some clear skies today, but it's starting to clear out. I think maybe in a couple hours it'll be completely blue skies, but we'll have to wait and see. Still a little bit of a chill in the air, a little bit of a cold wind, but much warmer than it was even a couple hours ago. So I've taken off all my rain gear and gloves and beanie and stuff. So far it's just been those few puddles of water that I've walked through. 95% of this has been dry so far, so that's good news. I also did hear that this is supposed to be like the lowest water year in Florida in quite a while. So, I mean, it did just rain all day yesterday and a couple days before. So, probably contributed a little bit to some of the water we're going to encounter, but I think other years probably had it worse altogether. So, I'm going to make my decision up here in about 2 or 3 miles or so. You get to a bridge, and then you can kind of road walk around some of the Bradwell Bay area. I'm just gonna have to look at the mileage, temperature and stuff for tomorrow, where the campsites are at and all that, and kind of figure out, because I don't want to get out there in the middle of it and all the campsites are flooded and I'm out there night hiking in it. That's not good. And I also don't want to really like maybe get in the middle of it, find a campsite, and then have to hike out in the morning when it's freezing. So if I can push through and kind of get to a campsite tonight, I think that would be good, because like I said, it's kind of warming up. So if I go through the water now, it shouldn't be so bad. But I also don't want to just like get to the campsite but right where it starts at Monkey Creek at, you know, like 2 p.m. and just sit there. So I'll just have to see how the timing and logistics and all that works out, and if that means I road walk, I road walk. So it's not what I necessarily want to do. Like I said, I'd actually like to kind of experience it and see what it's like, but I don't want to put my, like I said, my life in danger. I don't think I'm gonna die even if I go through and it's cold, but you know, you just don't want to put yourself in unnecessary risky situations like that if you can avoid it. So I'll figure out that bridge, or cross that bridge when I get there, I guess. So this is one of the campsites. It's directly, oh well, this is really only one of the official ones I've seen. It has, you know, like a fire ring and bench and everything. It's not huge, but you could fit 1, 2, you can get like 3 there pretty easily. This is the Oak Creek or Oak Park Bridge. This is kind of where I make my decision if I'm gonna stay on the trail for this next section or if I'm going to take a bit of a road walk. So I'm gonna take a break here, kind of look at the map, how many miles and stuff, and figure out a plan. So leaving the bridge here, did some a little bit of research, and I'm gonna end up pretty much skipping Bradwell Bay. I was looking at the weather in the morning. It's supposed to be actual temperature 32 degrees. The real feel is going to be like 21. And the place that like all my friends are camping at is right before Bradwell Bay starts. So you'd be waking up and hiking in that condition through waist deep water. And I don't think that's safe. Seems kind of risky, so I'm gonna be doing a bit of a road walk. It cuts off a few miles of the trail, because if I stick to the trail, like the campsite I'm going to is Manus, is what I decided on. And if you stay on the trail the whole way, it's 17 miles from where I'm at. So that would take me, like, on a good trail, 6 hours to get to. And, you know, that puts me getting there at, like, probably 7 or later at this point, which would be dark. But I'd also have to go through the entire Bradwell Bay, which people say takes like a mile an hour. So there's no way I'd get there. So if I stayed to the trail and hike all the way to sunset, I'm still gonna get stuck out in the middle of Bradwell Bay at probably Bradwell Island Camp. So yeah, the road walk, I get to Manus and it'll put me there probably like 5 or 6 o'clock tonight. And I think I'll be past like the worst of the water sections. And, you know, I might have to go through like some ankle deep stuff or something, but it won't be dangerous. And I probably will get a later start tomorrow, just to try to let it warm up a little bit. You know, I might start like at 9 o'clock or something, who knows, just stay in my sleeping bag, because 20 degrees, that's chilly. I do have all the gear I need. I have a 10-degree bag, puffy, fleece, gloves, beanie, all that stuff. So I'm prepared for it, but yeah, it's just the next few days it's supposed to warm up, get back up into the 70s for the highs. So just getting through these next couple days, you got to be smart. And like I said, if it was going to be like today, you know, or I mean today the highs are still like in the 50s, but you know, sunny, clear, highs in the 70s, I'd gladly go through it. But like I said, you got to pick your battles and you know, take your own risk of what you're comfortable with. So I did want to try to clarify or explain kind of what I'm doing. So you can see I just started my road walk on here, and then if you look, this bridge is where I was making those plans and figuring out what I was going to do. And then I followed 343 to 346, and you know, I'm making my way out that way. So this whole section up here is what I'm skipping, and I don't think any of this is really underwater, but as you can kind of see, it kind of goes up and back, and to put it simply, it kind of is like a pointless out and back. And like normally I don't really care, it's, you know, just how the trail is, but when I'm trying to beat like 20-degree weather tomorrow morning and also get past waist deep water today, that kind of pointless out and back makes it hard to make the miles I need to make. So my friends are going to this trailhead, Monkey Creek, because that's pretty much, I'll show on a different map, because it does, Far Out doesn't do a really good job of showing like what Bradwell Bay is, and on here it's kind of confusing, but Monkey Creek is where Bradwell Bay pretty much starts. So they're gonna do like a road walk from this icon, and they're gonna follow this road across here and go to that blue blaze and camp, and they're gonna kind of cut off the top part of that thing. And like I said, there's a campsite out here, Bradwell Island, but like I said, it's in the middle of Bradwell Bay, as you can kind of see that tree icon up there. So if I made it to there, I still gotta hike in Bradwell Bay tomorrow. And then this one over here, Manus Camp, is where I want to go. It's like the very edge of Bradwell Bay, and like I said, on trail it was about 17 miles to get there. And like I said, I think the Bradwell Bay section, all this here in the middle, they say one of the guys ahead of me sent pictures to some of my friends and he was in waist deep water. So and there's a few comments about people saying, you know, there's 3 miles is like knee deep, and then 3 miles of like waist deep water. So anyway, trying to get to Manus Camp. It's basically just they said there's enough space for one tent, so I'll camp there. So I'm coming up on this parking lot slash trailhead, and I'm kind of thinking I might jump back on the Florida Trail, just because it's only 5 miles on the Florida Trail to camp. And even if I go like half the pace I normally do, if I stay on this road, it's almost twice that. It's like 10 miles. So I think I'll still get to camp quicker, or even at the same time at worst. And then on top of that, like I've cut off a lot of the like dry trail already, and I don't feel too bad about that, but I do feel a little bad about, like I said, I kind of do want to experience Bradwell Bay. To me, it's like the White Mountains of of the Florida Trail, or like the Sierra. Like, it's the challenge that you're supposed to deal with and overcome and kind of suffer through, and you look back on it later. And I said right now it's almost getting warm. I'm still wearing a fleece and a beanie, but I'm kind of getting too warm in that. So if I do go through it now, as long as I can get out of it for a couple of hours at the end of the day, I should be able to dry out my pants and everything and not have them like soaking wet as I go to bed. So, and then I would be able to, like, you know, get the Bradwell Bay experience and not really have to skip it. So yeah, I'm trying to figure out. It's rapidly coming up on it, so stay tuned. So this is the Bradwell Bay South trailhead. They call this a parking lot, which I guess it is, but actually makes a really good campsite as well. There's a big signboard here. It has all the phone numbers and a map of everything that you're need to really know. And this is the road that I've been walking, and you go through here, and you know, maybe point 1 or point 2, kind of back at the edge of those trees, is the Florida Trail. After some consideration, I'm gonna keep walking the road. If I would have been here maybe even an hour ago, I think I would give it a shot. Preferably, I would like to have been here 2 hours ago, like right at noon, because that would give me more than enough time to make it all the way to the other side, still have some daylight to dry out. There's a whole bunch of comments of all different sorts, and it's kind of hard to know who to take, like whose opinion to trust, because, you know, one year, I think it was in 2020, somebody posted that Bradwell Bay was completely dry, and then I said other people have gone through and it's chest deep. And then, you know, it also depends on what month it is. Some of the comments are from December, some of them are from March. And then also it probably depends on if it's rained recently. Some of the comments mentioned that it had rained a few days before. So it's kind of hard to know, just looking at a comment, how much it applies to my particular situation. A lot of them did say from here to get to like the Bradwell Bay West trailhead, which is like, I think roughly the 4 or 5 miles. It's right before the Manus camp. You should have at least 3 hours of daylight. Some of them talk about 1 mile per hour, half a mile per hour, and just also alligators, cottonmouths, logs in the stream, or in the mud or whatever that you can't see. So I don't want to get to a point where I'm like rushing through there and not being like paying attention and being safe, and like trying to rush through to get out before dark. So I am going to tentatively plan to come back and like section hike it. Like I said, I have 2 friends that live in Tallahassee, one of the guys that I've been staying with the last couple days, and neither one of them have done the Bradwell Bay section. So I'll kind of try to make plans with them. I don't know if they'll do it this year, or, you know, maybe we'll do it next year or something, but I do want to come out and finish it and see it, experience it. It just kind of sucks that I'm going through like the hardest, and like one of the comments said like this is the hardest section of trail that this person has done in 20,000 miles of hiking. So it just sucks that I'm doing that type of trail like on the eve of one of the coldest nights. Well, definitely the coldest night on this trail, but also just one of the coldest nights that I've ever had on trail. I don't remember if it was the actual temperature or just like the wind chill, but like on the Arizona trail, it got down to 22 degrees. I think there was a couple times on the Appalachian Trail where it got maybe to the high 20s. I mean, it definitely got below freezing several times, but I don't think it ever got to like below 25. I mean, maybe once or something, but 21 degrees I think would be a new record. So yeah, I just wish that I was here when it was a little bit warmer, and also just a little bit earlier in the day, just so I'm not like rushing through it and stressing out about it and not able to actually enjoy the scenery and the experience and all that. So I think it will be more fun to also do it with some friends. I mean, I do have some friends that I think are going to attempt it tomorrow. That's, they're going to camp at Monkey Creek, and their intention is to hike through it. But like I said, I don't think that's safe. I mean, for me, like I said, if they are fine with it, it's up to them what they want to do. But I don't want to be hiking at that like 7 a.m. It's 21 degrees outside, because I mean, you're going to be in waist deep water for, like people say, 3 or 4 hours, or knee deep at least for most of it. So yeah, a little bummed out. So I do feel kind of bad about skipping it. Feels like kind of giving up, but I think it's the right decision, and the smart decision. And the unfortunate thing is sometimes you don't have the I guess the fortune of being able to know whether that decision was the right decision or not, because you don't have hindsight. Like, well, I guess sometimes you get hindsight, but I guess if my friends go through it tomorrow morning and they have a miserable time and they end up skipping it and hiking backwards and going to the road walk, I'll feel, I guess, a little bit vindicated that I made the right decision. But yeah, sometimes you just gotta look at the options you have and kind of go with your experience and your gut, and live with the decision you make. So that's what I'm gonna do for now, and then I'm just gonna look forward to coming back and doing this with some friends, maybe in as little as a couple of weeks. Maybe after I finish this trail, I'll go home for a little bit, and then I'm not sure what my plans are after this trail, but maybe I'll come out here late March-ish and hike it with some friends. So we'll see. So I just want to make a quick endorsement for Gaia. I really like Gaia. It's really good for planning off trail routes, see what other trails are nearby, forest roads. Kind of gives you like a bigger picture. And one feature that is kind of underrated, and you don't really notice it until you need it on far out, is the directional heading, like the which way am I facing. It seems like on far out, like it takes it like 10 seconds for it to like update. Like you could start walking and it doesn't update immediately. So if you're at like a crazy blowdown and you're trying to figure out which way the trail is, or you're bushwhacking and you're trying to like, which way am I actually facing? Like, it's really hard to use far out for that kind of thing. But as I wanted to show on Gaia is, watch this. Like, obviously you can't really see what I'm doing in person, but it is almost instantaneously like following. There's almost no delay in that arrow moving and what I'm like, where my phone is pointing. So if you're trying to like, oh, I'm at a crossroads or a blowdown, it's like, okay, look, like, it's so helpful. But you know, it's up to you. But if you do find yourself in kind of backcountry situations or less traveled trails, that kind of thing, I would highly recommend it. And like I said, you can kind of plot routes on here and see roads and distances and elevations and put in waypoints and a lot of stuff that you just really can't do with far out. So I'm on the final stretch of this road to reconnect to the Florida Trail, and unfortunately there are puddles. Well, I don't know if you even call this a puddle, but there's water on the road, and you know, you gotta get your socks wet at the end of the day, which is never fun, just because it usually means they're not going to dry out, and you got to kind of baby them in a sense. So, well, at least on days where it's going to be below freezing, because then you'll wake up with frozen socks. So but all things considered, it's better to have wet socks than to be wet from the waist down from going through Bradwell Bay. So so it would appear this is the Bradwell Bay West trailhead. It's definitely not as big or as wide as the other one. It's got a similar signboard. There's the Orange Blaze, and then Manus Camp and the Florida Trail go down here, and you turn off in a little bit. So I'm gonna look at the mileage, figure out if I want to go that way. I mean, this is not terrible to set up. You could get, I mean, we could definitely get 3 tents here. It's flat enough, and it's off of the road in case people do need to drive down it. It's, you know, a little gravelly, little sticks and stuff, but you know, that's what sleeping pads are for, right? So I will also mention, this is kind of one of those situations where having a freestanding tent would come in handy, because if you really needed to or just wanted to camp here for whatever reason, this ground is, you know, pretty much gravel and really hard packed dirt, and you're probably not getting very many stakes in it, especially if you want one of the flat spots. If you come over here where it's, you can't really tell, but this is a little bit more sloped, you could probably get some grass and dirt to grab a stake, but you know, you're gonna be sleeping on an angle. So you know, if you have a trekking pole tent with a bunch of stakes and guy lines that you got to have for it to stay upright, you know, just limit your options. So this is a Manus Camp, and you definitely get your feet wet going in and out of here, but let's see. It is a bit brushy, but I think there's, I mean, people say a space for one tent. I mean, come on. You could definitely get 2 tents there. Even like 2-person, like trekking pole tents. I mean, they'll be next to each other. And then, you know, if you have a 3rd tent, a smaller one, I mean, you could definitely put it like over here in the entrance, probably right here. And there's I would say definitely 2 tents, easy. But I think what we'll try to do is get 3 into here, because this is kind of the tent spot. And I got a small 1-person tent now, so I think we'll fit. But yeah, it's pretty cozy. I also like it because it's kind of got some wind block with the plants and stuff out there on the road. The wind was just like, I won't say howling, but you could just, you were getting kind of hit with it. There wasn't a lot to stop it. So camping out there, you know, with the weather that's coming in, might have been a little bit more uncomfortable. And like I said, here we're not far off the road. It's only like maybe 0.1 or 0.2, but like I said, those trailheads out there are like out in the middle of a national forest and far away from any kind of population center. It's not like the trailheads that are like close to town that people are going to drive up to drink at or whatever. I think the only people that are going to come to these are people that are actually hiking. So, and then especially to get into here, like you got to walk through water and all that. So I don't think anybody's going to bother you at these like they might at some of those other ones I stayed at down south. So this is set up for now. Like I said, that's a 1-person tent, and you could easily get probably 2 more 1-person tents, you know, freestanding ones like that, just in that spot. And then I would say, yeah, you could get like a duplex or some kind of tent like that in front of mine, which I think is what my friend has. But I said, if you really had to, like, and you had a smallish size tent, I think you could get one over there somewhere, you know. You just need a flat spot. It's not gonna like poke a hole in your pad or, you know, sleep on a root or something. So yeah, this is the new tent. It's not the one that was like on my wish list per se, but it's very similar to it. The one that I was wanting is a sling fin, but they're kind of pricey. And this is kind of the, and like I said, this is my friend bought this and never used it, and just kind of had it sitting in his closet, so I'm giving it a test run. But it's the first time I'm using it on trail, so we'll see how it goes. But I think I'm gonna like it.